Hi there, this is Matt with Core Fitness Camps and Training, and we're going to do a little mobility video today. It's fairly short, it's not all encompassing, but with more mobility comes more ability. So I'm going to have you start. I'm going to use a dowel. You can use any number of different things you have around the house. A hockey stick, a golf club, broom handle. You could use a resistance band, which has some pliability to it. I'm going to use the dowel. Again, this is just a 3-foot dowel that I got from a local hardware store. So I'm going to have you start. Again, the wider your hands, the easier this will be. So you're going to start with your hands wide, and I'm just going to have you do some circles with your arms. Now, if you cannot get this far, that's okay. Get as far as you can. Okay? So just nice and gentle, 3, 4, 5 repetitions. The closer your hands, the more challenging this will be. And over time, that will become a little bit easier. Okay? So we're just going to start with some shoulder circles. Okay? Nice and easy. Then I'm going to have you keep your arms elevated overhead, and I'm going to have you go side to side. Okay, so this is going to loosen up your lats, your latissimus dorsi, your obliques, work a little bit of your hips. Just nice and gentle, overhead, side to side. Okay, then you're going to go in front. Again, those feet are hip width. I'm just going to have you rotate. So you're going to work some of that thoracic rotation in your mid-back. So nice and gentle, just getting in some rotation. Right, just there, parallel to the ground. Again, you can use any object, you can use no object, all right? Nice and gentle, okay? And then lastly with the dowel, we're gonna do a golf swing, okay? So just nice and gentle. Again, it's just like a pendulum. Lats, obliques, shoulders, a little bit of chest. Okay, nice and easy, okay? All right, then, and this will only work with something that is firm, right? So resistance band, this next couple exercises won't work with. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to turn around so you can see me, okay? My top hand is as such, bottom hand faces you, and what I'm going to do is toggle this up, pull it up, and therefore I'm going to get a stretch in my back, or in this case my right rotator cuff muscles, and then I'm going to pull down, which is going to get a little bit of stretch in my tricep. So again, good posture. You're just going to toggle up and down, nice and easy. Get to whatever point you're comfortable. Do it, again, probably 3 to 5 times. And then you're going to switch hand, of course. Same thing up, same thing down. Not surprisingly, you may find a difference from arm to arm, which isn't uncommon. Okay? So again, work on that, nice and gentle. Okay? The second one I'm going to do in this position, again, you'll notice now the dowel is off center. In other words, it's not on my spine. Okay? Now I'm going to use the leverage of the dowel, and hopefully my bottom arm is parallel to the ground. I'm going to pull this forward. Okay? And so what that's going to create is some internal rotation on my shoulder. So you can see how my hand on my bottom hand, on my left hand, right, moves. That forces that mobility in my shoulder. So again, whatever you do with one hand, you now need to do with the other. Okay? So I'm just right here. Again, I'm off center. Internally rotate. So again, you're just using the leverage of the dowel on your body to internally rotate. Okay? So that's the first couple that you're going to do with the dowel. Okay? Now we're going to go on our hands and knees. Okay? We're going to do some core mobility here. Okay? So I'm going to have you start. You're just going to do a cat and cow. Okay? So again, notice how my hips are arched. I'm doing what's called a pelvic tilt. And then I'm going to arch up in the middle here. Okay? So I'm going to get between my shoulder blades. That's protraction. Retraction in the upper back, which we're going to do again momentarily. So notice I'm getting that upper back and I'm getting that lower back. So that works that lumbar vertebrae in your low back. Okay? So nice and gentle. Okay? Up and down, do it X amount of times that you like. Okay? Then we're going to do thoracic rotation. So the thoracic portion of your back is kind of that mid part. Okay? So again, you have your cervical, thoracic, and then your lumbar. Those are the 3 primary parts. So the thoracic rotation, I'm going to put my fingertips behind my ear, and I am going to externally rotate as such. Okay? So from a forward view, I'm going to be here, externally rotate. Okay? For most people, myself included, I'm a little stiff or limited in this range of motion. Again, not surprising that you might be a little different one direction from the other. Okay? So thoracic rotation. Again, your lower back is nice and stable, but it forces that mid-back with which to move. Okay? Then we're going to do kind of a child's pose, okay? Which is to say, again, I want you to keep your thigh vertical instead of leaning back on your heels. Bring your hands out in front of you. Drop your shoulders so that now my tailbone to my hand is in a pretty straight line. So you get a nice stretch in your shoulders, your lats, your back. Again, I can move both of my hands to the left. And now I'm going to feel this more on my right side. My right lat, posterior deltoid on the back side of your shoulder. Again, nice and gentle. And then I'm going to go to the other direction. So again, you hold it however long you're comfortable with, 5 to 10 seconds, whatever that looks like, okay? And then we are going to do what's called a prone cobra. So I'm going to drop my hips down, which is going to allow me to get my hip flexors, my lower back. Now again, I can rotate a little bit, whatever it feels like to you. And you can do any of these exercises as many times as you like, ultimately, okay? All right, the next one we're going to do on the ground. I'm going to have you lay on your back, knees are bent, feet are flat, okay? So now what I'm going to have you do is you're going to rotate your legs in one direction and look in the opposite. So when we were doing the thoracic rotation before, that's your thoracic back, the middle. Now you're doing more of your lumbar, so you're stretching that lower back. And again, there's lots of different ways to do a number of these different exercises. In this case, this is how I do this, but you can do this any number of different ways. For example, you can cross your leg over, rotate this way, rotate the other direction. There's lots of different options, okay? So we're going to do a little rotation in that low back, okay? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stand back up, okay? And again, you can do this on a mat, which will be harder. You can do it on a hard surface, will be easier. You can do it with shoes, which will be easier. You can do it without shoes, which will be harder, okay? So there's some level of balance, there's some level of mobility, okay? So what you're going to do initially is I'm just going to have you stand, okay? And you're just going to do some leg circles. Again, so I'm working on balance and stability on my plant leg, on my left leg, and then you're working mobility on the other leg. So again, the ligaments and tendons in your foot and ankle, you're working on what's called proprioception, which is how our limbs operate in space, mobility in the hip, core stability and balance. So you're going to do both directions, so outside in as well as inside out. So nice big circle. Again, either on a hard surface, on a soft surface, carpeting certainly makes that harder as well, okay? So same thing on the other leg. Outside in, 3 to 4 times perhaps, and then you're going to do inside out, okay? Big circle, all right? And then what you're going to do is, you're going to do what's called the Frankenstein, kind of like what it sounds like. So this is going to be for your hamstring flexibility. I can do this stationary or with movement, which is to say I can walk forward when I do it, okay? It's your choice. The goal is to try to get that leg high, so you work on the flexibility in your hamstring, okay? So again, you can do this any number of different ways. Stationary, with movement, get that leg up nice and high, right? So hamstring flexibility, okay? Then what I'm going to have you do is, again, go back to standing on one leg, and you can work on hip flexion. So you're going to lift your leg up. Again, balance, stability, hip flexion. I can do abduction, right? Medial glute. I can do a leg curl, hamstring, and I can also do a single leg, straight leg deadlift, okay? So balance, stability, and now my plant leg is working, okay? So on the other leg, again, leg raise, abduction, again, 3-4 reps of each, leg curl, single leg, straight leg deadlift, okay? Single leg, straight leg deadlift. Maintain your balance and stability on that leg as the other leg goes up, okay? All right, so the last thing we're going to finish with, we're just going to do some upper neck cervical vertebrae, okay? So the first thing I want you to do, again, you're just going to stand, try to be relaxed, okay? I want you to retract your shoulders. So again, in this position, I am neutral. We have what's called protraction, I'm rounded, and retraction, okay? So again, for people who are using technology a lot, generally people are a little rounded. Throughout the course of the day, try to retract your shoulders. You can do that again many different ways. I can retract here, right? That works those muscles in your upper back. That helps your postural muscles, okay? So now that I'm retracted, now what I'm going to have you do is you're just going to take your chin and look to your left. So you're getting rotational movement in your cervical vertebrae, right, in your neck, okay? And again, you can do that a couple times. In theory, if you do that a couple of times, you'll get a little greater range of motion. Okay? Now you're going to go ear to shoulder. So you get your scalenes, you get your traps. Again, just nice and gentle. Do it a couple times if you like. and then you're gonna go up and down. So up, try to get that chin all the way up, not just your eyes, okay? And then down, your chin goes to your chest, okay? So down is gonna get the ropey muscle that runs from the back of your hairline, your levator, back of your hairline into the inside of your shoulder blade. So if you ever put your chin to your chest and you can feel it, it's tight, it pulls, that's generally what's happening there. So again, all the way up, all the way down, okay? So in this particular little video, we did some mobility work for our chest, our shoulders, right? We did some work for our back, both the cervical, the thoracic, the low back, and also we did some stuff for our head and neck. So if you give this little video a try, I think you'll find that it'll improve your mobility. Thanks so much.